Mama's in the living room watching Judge Judy. I'm in the kitchen eating leftover sushi, and she yells, "Oh, girl, you gotta hear this one." A man was arrested for running a theme park, and when they said, "Where's your license?" he said, "My dog ate it." Oh, you can't make this shit up. Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on her Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one." Mama loves to laugh at how absurd life is, says it's all a comedy and I'm her audience. And I love the way she makes fun of the world. She said, "You'll never guess what's with their girlfriend. It was a man who didn't get us out of the bed. He said, I've been through hell and now I need some help. You just can't make this shit up. You just can't make this shit up." Sometimes I wonder if life's just one big cosmic joke. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout. It's like she's on a Reddit, reading r/funny lawsuits, yelling from the couch. As she sips on a Prosecco, makes fun of all the weirdos, and then I hear her shout, "Girl, you gotta hear this one."
Hey everybody, welcome to Wednesday. It's been a day. The little is here. Whoa, what are we doing here? Yeah. She has a message for y'all. She says, if you care about what my mom says and you bring me into the chat, because you shouldn't be saying those things with your child in the room. My daughter says she doesn't care, and neither should you. Because I don't ask for parenting advice from some randos on the internet. FYI. It's been a great day. We fought with Toyota this morning because Toyota's weird. And I started a couple minutes earlier because we're on, with the exception of her wanting to talk over me. I've got all my shit together today. What a fucking concept that is. Yeah. But FYI, if you want to put in my comment section, you shouldn't be saying the F word around your child. I'm almost convinced that my child's first phrase is going to be, "For fuck's sake." Get over it, people. She lives in a loving household, has everything she freaking needs, has everything she could ever want because she's spoiled rotten. So the fact that I drop a couple F-bombs around her, you are the least of my concerns when it comes to what you think. And I understand cursing is not for everybody. And yesterday was just a one-off. I curse. I'm a sailor. I talk. You can ask my parents. I talked like a trucker in high school, and then I joined the Navy, and that just made it so much more fun. Yeah, it was just funny because it was kind of creepy. Because I had looked back at this person's past comments on my channel, and there was only one, and it was like a little creepy. This is creepy. The people that like comment about like children, but don't actually comment on like anything of substance for the channel or the topic, but comment on children. And like Taz, like you comment on the, like you and I talk off of YouTube, but you comment on other things and then comment about hope the family's well and baby squid is cute. You don't start the conversation with your child is cute, or you only talk about how cute my kid is. That's kind of weird. Y'all y'all kind of weird. Ooh, sorry about your ears. Ah, yes. Oh, yes. And thank you. And yeah, it's just funny. It's just funny. It's just funny. So today we are talking the second part of Hannah Dugan for the week. More motions in limine, motions in limine, motions in limine. This time we are starting with Angel. So aggressive. I wonder where she gets that from. We are starting with what is going to be motions in limine from Hannah Dugan. We got on Monday, we got through the US's first motion in limine, which was 24 pages. I always talk about how cute I am first. Makes it far less creepy. That it does. It's funnier. It's funnier too. Uncle Buck, how are you? Oh, JKD Buck, since I know you have it, I'm sure most of you that are following me for non-drama cases follow him. But if you don't, could Uncle Buck, could you post Nate the lawyer's link? We're trying to get him to, I believe, 1 million followers before he gets out of surgery. He went into surgery after very quickly finding out that he had a brain tumor. So we wish him the best of luck. He has no idea who my tiny little channel is, but that doesn't matter. I still support him. He is good at what he does. So Uncle Buck, I just know that you have his link because you posted it this morning. Okay. Not sure what that text message was. Yes, right here. Thank you so much. I did. I watched the first thing that you sent me. It's crazy. I don't know if we're going to talk about it on the channel, but it's crazy regardless. And there's all that. Side note, second video for the other channel drops today at 3:30. It is the first week of our fall prevention series. Hey, Robert James, how are you? It is going into a general overview of mobility and fall prevention leading into the winter months. So he had surgery today. The last I saw on his Twitter was that he was on the bed and like this, and the caption was going into surgery or something along those lines. So we wish him the best of luck. As not a brain tumor survivor, but a brain surgery recovery is an interesting process. So, yes, there's the link to my second channel. We are up to 190 subscribers. The goal is to be monetized sometime next year. But that's my heart and soul channel. This is the channel where we get to make fun of lawyers and judges for being stupid. And people who act like lawyers. The fall prevention in the winter, don't go outside in the ice and snow. Not exactly, because sometimes we have to. So I try to stay positive in chat. It's hard though. Girl, please stay off of my keyboard. You, girl. No. We're gonna have a screaming match. It was more like a yeah. Anyway, we're gonna get straight into it. Since we are 9 minutes in, we are actually going to stay on topic today. God forbid. Because we do have a lot to go through, and this topic kind of makes me agitated. Because if y'all know anything about me, the thing I despise the most in our judicial system, besides people hiding from service, that's a given. But the thing that annoys me the most from a judicial perspective is judges who think they're above the law and judges who hide behind immunity when certain things may or may not be covered under that judicial immunity. So here's Hannah Dugan. TLDR, I put the link for the first video into the chat or into the description, and I will link it in the pinned comment. However, she dropped her toy. It's the end of end of world event over here when we drop a toy. Hannah Dugan is a circuit court judge in Milwaukee County that decided, for better or for worse, however you feel about it, not important, that she was going to tell a man that was in her courtroom for, I believe, domestic battery. Don't exactly quote me on that because I can't remember right now. Who was in her courtroom for another issue, that he could leave through a side door to evade the 2 ICE agents that were out in the hallway of the courthouse waiting to detain him for being here illegally in this country. She is now charged with 3 counts relating to allowing that said person to evade ICE agents, even though she did not succeed and that person is no longer in this country. He has officially been deported. With that being said, we're staying on topic today equals Spawn Trooper won't be here. Good point. Oh my goodness. I know a former county judge with a God complex who was found guilty of 3 counts and faces state Supreme Court for punishment. And I am all for judicial immunity for the intended purpose. And I have a whole playlist. If you are new to this channel, if you are new to this topic, I have a whole playlist on actually reading the documents from the judges, because the magistrate judge for the Eastern District of Wisconsin and the district judge both really like to write and give us a history lesson. So judicial immunity started in England to go back to not allowing defendants to sue the judge because they lost. If you're a criminal and you get found guilty by a jury, you can't sue the judge. Totally makes sense. But I feel like people are taking advantage of it. Said person included. Whether you like or... And I kind of went off on this little tangent before, so I'm just going to get my P's and Q's out so we don't go off on a tangent again. Whatever you think of our immigration laws, there are laws on the books, and sometimes we have to enforce laws that we don't like. Instead of bitching about the laws and not enforcing them, because it's not the judiciary's job to enforce them or to make them, and you can't legislate from the bench, how about we all talk to our congressmen, tell them to get off their butts and do their damn jobs and change the laws instead of not enforcing the laws that we have. How about you change them to make them easier? I'm not saying I agree with a lot of laws on the books, but instead of just not enforcing the laws and thinking that you're above any said laws, how about you change them? It seems like, oh wait, because that involves people actually having to get off their butts and work and compromise, which is one of the reasons that I also allow people that you may not agree with in this chat, is because that is how we start working together and compromise on things, is we hear each other out. We don't always have to believe what each other says. We don't always have to agree. However, if we never listen to each other, shit like this happens. All right, so this is her first motion in limine. She has 13. The first one is on its own, and then the second one is combined in the 2nd through 13 are combined into one document. Yay, congratulations. Yay. Now the guiding him to a back door after directing the ICE agents to the chief judge, knowing the chief judge was not there. That's another important distinction. It's not like she just distracted them, which I still don't agree with, but hey, whatever. She sent them to the judge's office, the chief judge's office, to wait for him, knowing that he wasn't even in the courthouse. Yeah, there's an issue there, you know. All right, defendant's first motion in limine. Hannah Dugan here both makes and explains her first motion in limine. That one warrants close attention and is not routine. It addresses the unusual issue peculiar to this unusual case. And I don't believe this is an unusual case. What I believe is that people are now just being held accountable. For some reason, we have it in this country that it's automatically like everything's automatically political. Not everything is political. Some things are just you didn't do your job, you weren't held accountable, and we're going to hold you accountable. I believe everybody should be held accountable. Crazy, I know. Crazy. Hey, Jaws, how's the future? All right. She also renews her earlier motion to dismiss as barred by judicial immunity. I hate judicial immunity. This combined motion and brief, she submits. English is hard, I know. And now I'm late. It's been a day. I know you were here at like 10:30. I saw your comments. And sorry, Unhung Hero. Thanks for getting us started with 10 gifted Squid Pro Quo memberships. I got so set on getting started that I forgot. You know? Thanks for ensuring that I don't work for completely free. That's why I monetize my streams, y'all. Little bit of ad revenue helps put gas in the car, food on the table. All right. But if you really want to help me out, go to my new channel, subscribe, and help me with them watch hours. What she said. And no separate supporting memorandum. Judge Dugan acted lawfully, doing acts that were part of her job. To paraphrase the magistrate judge, whose recommendations this court adopted, as to the 5 specific acts that count 2 alleges. Because lawful acts do not and cannot obstruct or hinder under 7th Circuit cases. Stop, please. Hey, Angie. And thanks to all my lurkers. And thanks to the one person who hit the down button before the stream even started. I wish I could blow you a real kiss. Like, there you go. I made it work. You think I know it wasn't you. I know generally the group of people who it is. And they just want attention, and I gave them enough yesterday, so I'm just gonna stop now. I just think it's funny because they do it for attention because they know it still helps my channel and they don't care. Stop hitting my keyboard, please. Because lawful acts do not and cannot obstruct or hinder under 7th Circuit cases, the government, 1, may not rely on or even introduce evidence of these lawful acts. Alternatively, the government may not contest that they were official acts within a Wisconsin state judge's job, even if it's permitted to argue that they were done corruptly. Nice to hear the fire has calmed down. It's kind of one of those things where it was like it was just building, and it was building in the way where it was like I have no problem with dropping people. I have no problem with dropping people's links in my chat, and there was a few people who were asking me to drop a certain person's link in my chat, and I'm not gonna blow smoke up your ass. I don't like that fucking person. So I'm not going to drop someone's link in my chat who I don't like, or I don't like their content, or I don't like them. Like, you know, so it was one of those, like, y'all kept telling me that someone started a channel and it was like, no. So if you have a channel and you want, and I watch your content and you want me to drop your link, I will. I have no problem. And there's been people who have emailed me to just make sure, which I appreciate. And I have absolutely no problem. It was just building. And it was like, y'all don't know some of the shit that goes on with this specific person that it's like, y'all, if you knew what I knew, that's all I'm gonna say. All right, the indictment here specifically pleads the arrest of an immigrant, EFR, as critical to both counts 1 and 2. The indictment contends that Judge Dugan, quote, concealed EFR, a person whose arrest warrant and process had been issued under the provisions of the law of the U.S., so as to prevent the discovery and arrest of EFR, who has been deported. And in count 2, the indictment frames the facts similarly, contending that Judge Dugan corruptly endeavored to influence, obstruct, and impede the due and proper administration of the law in a particular way by obstructing the administrative arrest of EFR for purposes of removal proceedings conducted by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, by committing affirmative acts to assist EFR to evade arrest. I'm sorry, the facts here are pretty damn clear. When you allow someone to leave through a door that they are not normally permitted to go through, that was a jury door. There was no jury in the room. He was not part of a jury. Under normal circumstances, this person would not have been allowed to go through this door, except for the fact that she knew that ICE was in the building. ICE was looking for him, so she let him leave. The facts are pretty damn clear. It's on video. The facts are pretty, like, and that's kind of what and that's kind of where now that she's not standing here, I'm gonna put my leg rest because, we change positions because the spine gets a little uncomfortable sometimes. I wonder how many state defendants she walked out a back door following a hearing in her career. And when someone lies or does something that's shady in an official capacity, and then they deflect and they try to hide behind something else where I don't know where this happened, or I got it from this person, or this person said this, or when someone tries to hide behind something like that, it makes you question everything that this person has ever done. Kind of like Michael Proctor. If you've watched, I mentioned this on Monday, Larry came out with a video, I want to say Friday or Saturday is when the video came out. I don't exactly remember. But if you haven't seen it, I highly suggest it. It's a good watch. But Michael Proctor, the former trooper in the Karen Reed case, a lot of his past convictions that he had worked on are being questioned because it showed that he lied about data. There's some things that are questionable, and I can't remember everything, so I'm not going to quote it. I send you over to Larry because he obviously knows a hell of a lot more about that than I do. However, the same kind of goes for here. When you've done something like this, and it's on video that she did it, it's not, the courthouse's cameras everywhere. It's like, what else what other shady shit have you done that you just haven't been caught? It's, yeah, the only one, she got caught. Did anyone interview the victim in the courtroom or their family to get their take on what happened? I don't know. Local media in Milwaukee might have. I know that her lawyers have done a shit ton of media. Her lawyers have done a lot of media. However, that being said, it just calls into question everything, and oh yeah, and that's a rabbit hole that I never decided to go down because, one, I enjoyed watching that Baker, Mo, and Valhalla doing that. Two, and Larry's videos of the law side of things, because I love Baker, I love Mo, and I love Val, but they're not lawyers. They give their take, but sometimes I like hearing the legal side and what can be done and the procedural side from Larry, who also covered it very well. But that was just one of those rabbit holes that, like, I jumped down enough rabbit holes. I gotta pick and choose my rabbit holes before I pick one that I can't get out of, if you know what I mean. So it's yeah, I hope everything she's done is now under a microscope, good or bad. Yeah, and that's the problem though, because it calls into question every decision she's ever made. Kind of like Judge Grudge. I feel like Judge Grudge should have every decision after what was obviously done to Jeremy. Like it or hate it, it was done. And after the writ of prohibition, like every case that he ever did should be under scrutiny from an appeals court. And if you ever had a case in front of Judge Grudge, your ass should be like using Jeremy's writ of prohibition from the appeals court to be like, see this? I had this same issue with him, but you didn't seem to see a problem with it then. Go back and look. Kind of a situation. All right. It's by committing affirmative acts to assist EFR to evade arrest. I like how they don't put this as they put it as an asterisk, but they didn't actually put it as like a footnote 1. Like some people's writings, man, I've seen enough legal writings to know what is normal and what's not. This is not normal. This is and when you do something that is outside the norm, in my personal opinion, especially in legal filings, it's like you're trying to get attention or you're trying to be different. And no offense, but legal filings, medical writing or things, it's like that's where I don't want to be different. That's where I don't want my shit to stand out. I just want to be a run of the mill, easy to read. That's it. Like, hey, Harry. And yeah, he is the best. I like his takes on a lot of things because they're very level-headed. And Linda, and he will also say, one of the reasons that I like Larry and I like Larry's content is because he will say, I don't know if I would do it that way. I don't know if that's the best idea, but here's what's happening. And I can appreciate that because it's like reporting the facts, saying this is not how I would do it, but not hiding anything and also not disparaging the people who made those decisions just because it's not what you would do. I like that sense of like level-headedness and fairness. Hey, this is not how I would do it, but to each their own. Because the indictment lists only 5 specific acts, and only in count 2, this may look like a motion to dismiss in disguise. Judge Dugan would make no apology for that, and she acknowledges that possible effect. But in fact, the government conceivably may have some evidence of unofficial acts or corruption to support its indictment. For example, the Attorney General of the U.S., presumably in a position to know what evidence the government has, claimed on Fox News' America's Report shortly after Judge Dugan's arrest that Judge Dugan first took EFR back into her chambers and was harboring a fugitive. Bondi was also described judges like Hannah Dugan as deranged. Jason Lalji, deranged Milwaukee judge's arrest warning to others, Bondi says from Axios. And FBI arrests a Milwaukee judge accused of helping a man evade immigration authorities, which seems to be. And remember, these titles are titles. They're meant to get clicks. They're search. So the thing about headlines in like a newspaper print now versus online is online, they are meant to be search engine optimized. When you put into a Google search, Milwaukee judge, these people write articles specifically for their articles to pop up first. They want their articles to be search engine optimized. So they look a little clickbaity because they want them search engine optimized. And it's kind of what I've tried to do with some of my titles lately, not make them super clickbaity, but make them more search engine friendly. So that when people search for DOJ or Hannah Dugan, my stream will pop up. So you know, yeah, Larry initially thought Wendy was innocent, and then he shared more of the court case. He acknowledged that he was wrong. It's a good man to do that. And that's the thing. Like, I like Larry because he realizes that, like, you can change your mind and that's okay. And, like, changing your mind is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of being a human and having part of the facts, learning more information, and then looking at the facts again and being like, oh, with more facts, my opinion can change. It's you know, being creative in verbiage oftentimes becomes muddled with confusion. Yes. Yes. Yeah, Larry is also confident enough, and I know this is before the comment that I already read, in his knowledge to say when he has been wrong. Yeah. That's also a sign of a person not only with confidence, but just with balls. No, like, congratulations to him. Um, you know, the Larry's a dude and he's not afraid to let you know. God, I hope he doesn't see that 'cause he'll just be like, "What the hell is she talking about?" And sorry, her dude is now an amputee. Her little hunter is now an amputee. I don't know where his other leg went. Um, yeah, we have an amputee hunter. Oh, yes, integrity. Thank you, Jeffrey. Oh, I just use the phrase "he has balls" versus, like, someone who evades service who I considered ballless. Changing your mind, being a man, admitting when you're wrong, or evading service. Balls? No balls. Balls? No balls. You're telling Larry. Oh my god. I've never been embarrassed on YouTube before, but that his reaction to that might just embarrass me. Like, for Kata fat shaming me and me making a comment or a short about it doesn't even bother me. 'Cause one, I asked for for everybody who posted on my Ricada short, like, he's harsh, I asked for it. He says, "Squid, per quote, I need a fat shaming," is because I put in his comment section, "Nick, I need a fat shaming." Like, you know, it balls, it's better than grounds. But no matter what, are you guys not entertained? You can get a good laugh, right? But, oh my god, I couldn't imagine. Oh my god, thank God I don't really talk to Larry, 'cause yeah, I know I'd be getting shit for that one. Balls? No balls. Anyway, oh boy. But it's like the thing about the search engine stuff is they make it sound like and of course, Bondi, no no offense to Pam Bondi, I don't think she's doing a good job-ish. I think I give her about a C. You're average, but there's nothing special about you. However, with this, it's like she's saying things to get attention to this case. I believe she is clickbait. I believe she is clickbait. So the search engine, this is not off topic. This is going back to the search engine optimized. It all makes sense in the end. So it all makes sense. It all goes back to the same thing. It's search engine optimized and putting titles in here that are meant to be search engine optimized. Um, it's like, duh, clickbait. Because the more clicks they get, the more money they get. I don't know. Ungung Hero, thanks for the $2 super chat. Balls or no bells? Been watching a lot of rackets. I have been watching a lot of rackets. He's been on with with Camelot a lot, and I watch Camelot, so, you know, it is what it is. But Unknown Hero, Ricada fat shamed me, so I got a minute worth of, fat shaming clips. I made a short out of it because that way it keeps me accountable. But, yeah. Balls or no balls? If the government indeed has such evidence, the discovery disclosed to date suggests that it does not. That would be an unofficial act and possibly admissible if not foreclosed by the ordinary rules of evidence. But sending EFR and his lawyer out a back door into a hallway that put them in the same public hallway at the same time as the courtroom doors would have less than 12 feet to the right of the main courtroom doors viewed from the hallway, where at least 2 agents saw EFR emerge and followed him to the elevator, thus a far cry from harboring a removable alien in chambers. Okay, regardless of what Pam Bondi said on fucking Fox News, because she's clickbait. Like, Pam Bondi is walking clickbait. Sorry. Ungung Arrow, thanks for the $2 super chat. Can we go shame targets? I'm sure he wouldn't mind that. Like, he wouldn't care. I'm gonna say no. I asked for the because Rackets is always good at fat shaming people. Like, when they ask for it, he doesn't just go around fat shaming people for the sake of it. I asked for it. I literally put it in chat, people. I don't have the actual chat. Maybe I do have the screen recording, but like somebody recorded the audio for me very cleanly so I could use it as a short. So I play it every morning. Didn't go so well today when I went to the dealership, and the dealership I go to has a barista who likes to make fancy coffee drinks for free. So, I had a little too much sugar today. Yeah, he only fat shames you if you ask. Yes, he's not a downright asshole. He's only an asshole if you ask him to be. Same with Zach. If I asked Zach to stop fat shaming me, I'm sure he would. But I ask him, it's a joke because it keeps me accountable. Not very well, but it keeps me accountable. But the U.S. brought this up in their motion in limine about the fact that you failed in your attempt to conceal him does not make it any less illegal. It's like we brought up the TV show Stupid Criminals or World's Dumbest Criminal. Just because you suck at harboring a fugitive does not mean that you did not attempt to harbor a fugitive. Fattish people make good doors but not good windows. Yeah, pretty much. Oh my goodness. Judge Dugan had a legal right to do the 5 specific acts the indictment alleges, so she did not support the crimes charged in counts 1 and 2. As to the right of Judge Dugan to do what she had lawful authority to do, engage in acts that were part of her job as a Wisconsin judge, Seventh Circuit cases provide strong support. As to each of the 5 specific acts the government relies on in count 2, and presumably by extension count 1 as well, Judge Dugan was within the scope of her job. Here's my thing. Regardless of whether this ends up being found that she was within the scope of her job, I think this brings into light the fact that judges are acting in occupational therapy, physical therapy have a very intentional scope of practice. Like, we cannot step outside of our scope of practice ethically. I think judges have stepped outside of their scope of practice for so long that it became the norm. And there's so much precedent now and case law about judges acting beyond their intended scope of practice that this just is bringing to light that if this was all within your scope of practice, maybe your scope of practice is too big. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Feel free to disagree with me and let me know in the comment section or in the chat, what you think. Have to go, meeting at 3. Have a great day, Taz. I will talk to you soon. But, you can feel free to disagree with me and give me your input, but regardless of how you feel about her specifically or this specific set of facts, I think this is starting to show that judges' scope of practice might have been expanded a little bit too much. And the Seventh Circuit has been quite clear an act that one has a legal right to undertake does not obstruct or hinder. U.S. v. Edwards, U.S. v. Matthews, Arthur Anderson v. U.S. Edwards bears closely on count 2 with its unusual mens rea element of corruptly. In that case, the court considered 2 witnesses tampering convictions under 18 U.S. Code 1512, a statute similar to 1505. And the fact that we have 1,505 statutes just seems to be like, that's a high number. You think we can figure shit out now? Drive safe. Which count 2 charges as the trial judge, Richard Posner, as it happened sitting in the district court by designation, submitted those counts, the jury would have convicted without finding any persuasion, hindering, or delaying that was done corruptly. As that statute also requires, that omission from the jury instructions was not harmless errors. The instructions failed to convey the requisite consciousness of wrongdoing. When I hear mens rea, all I can think about is Jeff's intro. Do you have the mens rea? What's up, baby? What do you need? Hold on. Okay, but guys, I will be right back. The little calls my attention, and I need to go do that. So, mama mode engaged. All right, it was snack time, and she just couldn't reach a snack that she wanted. All right. Potty break for the ones with a weak bladder. When you hear mens rea, I think of Legally Blonde. Legally Blonde too. I think of Legally Blonde as well. However, Jeff, the video clip he showed was, we have the mens rea. I was like, all right. Whatever the contours of the corrupt persuasion element, the Edwards court continued. The error here was the jury instructions did not say anything about wrongfulness at all. No reference to improper purpose, no requirement of deception, no mention of conscious wrongdoing. The instructions left the door open for the jury to convict Edwards on the basis of innocent rather than corrupt persuasion. Here, because Judge Dugan had a right to do each of the 5 acts, I still don't know about that. Like, I have to wait to see what comes out and what the documents and stuff says, and who knows, I might, probably not, because it's depending on the dates, but I might actually have eyes in this trial, because that is my hometown, and I do know people, so maybe I can convince somebody to go sit in trial for a couple hours and live tweet about it or something. So we'll see how that we'll see how that goes. But this is interesting. Here, because Judge Dugan had a right to do the 5 acts, they were all within the scope of her authority as a Wisconsin judge. There necessarily was no consciousness of wrongdoing. Nice try, but this bullshit I'm just not buying. I don't know about anybody else, but this consciousness of wrongdoing, if you didn't have consciousness that, see, and this is where it's like you're not your normal procedures. You might have the authority to let them go out a side door, and that might be within the scope of your practice. However, correct me if I'm wrong, but if that is not your normal practice and you were only doing it because you know that there is ICE in the building who might see him, and you're trying to get him closer to the elevator without being seen, that right there says you consciously know what the fuck you're doing. Sorry. Like, the videos of the judge show that she knew she was breaking the law. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. Hey, Dad, you want to go to a courthouse for a day? Not on jury duty? Not on jury duty? Interesting. Yeah, consciousness of wrongdoing. She has done this crap before. It's kind of like you knew if you didn't think you were doing anything wrong or you weren't trying to do anything, just let him leave through the regular doors, like you do with normal people. I hey Malin, how are you? No wrongfulness, no deception. The government seems to have no evidence of corruption at all. Mm, I don't know what the government has. I have not seen what the government has. But from living in Milwaukee County for years and years and years, Milwaukee and County and corruption kind of are like this. So I'm sure that the government can find something if they look hard enough. As the Supreme Court, the Seventh Circuit, and common usage all define it. Matthews relates to both counts here. It concerns the chief of police of East St. Louis, tries to help a friend who is an auxiliary police officer, but also a convicted felon, should not have been carrying a gun. Eventually, Chief Matthews faced charges for conspiracy to obstruct justice, attempted obstruction of justice, and perjury before a grand jury. A jury convicted him on all 3 counts. On appeal, Matthews argued that the jury instructions on obstruction of justice understated the necessity of mental state. In essence, he contended that the definition of corruptly did not adequately separate innocent obstructive conduct from criminal obstructive conduct. Conceding that this argument was not without force, in the end, the Seventh Circuit rejected it. The court reviewed the Supreme Court's rejection of a different jury instruction on the term corruptly in Arthur Anderson, and then explained why the jury instruction requiring that defendant's obstruction be wrongfully sufficed. That's true. I don't want to park downtown anymore because I'm afraid my car will be broken into or stolen. I no longer have my work secure parking structure. Good point. Good point. He specifically went out into the hallway and directed agents to a chief judge before the hearing ever started. She knew they were there. Yeah. And that's where it's like, shit doesn't pass the sniff test. It's like you're talking a big game, but the actions don't. What's on video does not match, and also prior statements that she had made. Darn, who else can we beg? Depends on when the actual trial is, because people got work and school, but I might be able to convince somebody else. I might owe them big time, but you know, as explained in Arthur Anderson, under limited circumstances, a defendant is privileged to obstruct the prosecution of crime. That privilege flows from the defendant's enjoyment of legal rights, such as the right to avoid self-incrimination. By including the word wrongfully in the definition of corruptly and criminalizing only the act of wrongfully impeding the due administration of justice, the instructions directed the jury to convict only those who have no legal right. Okay, does anybody see what I'm seeing here? Is anybody like, okay, I know I'm not a lawyer, but does anybody see a certain phrase being a problem? This really shows how bad your legal system is, to be honest. I think our legal system started to be bad in the 70s and 80s, and it just is starting to become like a thing now. Snipe Hunter, thanks for the $5 super chat towards Papa Squid's Uber fund to go downtown. Thank you. Okay, the last sentence here. The instructions directed the jury to convict only those who have no legal right to impede justice. I just... Oh, yes, I agree. Post-pandemic, it got worse. Yeah, I agree. The pandemic showed you who was willing to turn you in for the stupidest crap because you went to a park. So there's a legal right. The problem I see here is this phrase right here. Legal right to impede justice. The fact that that's even a thing. Yeah, right here. It really showed you people's true colors. It really did. Like, yeah. She should be thrown off the bench for breaking her oath of office. Why make them say an oath if you don't enforce it? Because most state legislatures, the Wisconsin legislature being one of the key ones, don't have the balls. Balls versus no ball. We need to make a pie chart here, or like a chart of balls versus no balls. Turning somebody in for going kayaking in the ocean by themselves during the pandemic. No balls. Ah. I was just fixing to ask how much this is going to cost us. Oh my goodness. This phrase right here, I'm stuck. I'm derailing myself because that phrase to me is like, what? That's like stupid Dave incriminating himself with the whole mail shit. Like, yeah, of course. Of course. But she'd have to be impeached by the state legislatures. And the state legislatures, although they have the power to impeach judges, they never use it because they don't have the balls, because they get, well, I'm going to piss off the wrong person if I do this. Haven't we figured out that if you piss off people, you're doing something right? Oh. All right. Although the trial court there had used the term wrongfully only, Matthews viewed the jury instruction as meeting the higher standard of acting dishonestly that Arthur Anderson imposed to prevent convictions of those who had a legal right or privilege and thus engaged only in innocent obstruction, so to speak. The circuit's pattern jury instructions for the elements of 18 U.S. Code 1503 offense cite and rely on Matthews, which again was in relevant part a prosecution under 1512. See 7th Circuit pattern criminal jury instructions. As the statute 1503 generally, and as to the definition of corruptly under subsections of 18 U.S. Code 1512. Although there are no pattern instructions in this circuit for 1071 or 1505, the specific charges in counts 1 and 2, there is no reason to think that the rule for these closely related offenses would be or should be any different. She's like, well, there's no rules for these statutes that I'm being charged with, but that shouldn't matter because this other charge that I'm not being charged with is close. Haven't we figured out? No, hold on. There we go. There we go. Does it work now? Am I good now? I think I need a new cable because this one gets a little. It had a little set of hands on it. Ma'am, you shall have to repeat yourself. Now it's working. Where did I go crazy? And where did my cable decide to unplug? So basically, I don't know where I lost you guys. I did tap my microphone. Yeah. Either way, let me put it in a position where it won't get untapped. So she's claiming that there's no pattern instructions for the charges that she's being charged with. That I learned sign language when I was very little, so I talk with my hand. It's not an agitation thing. It's I want to start signing, and I don't know why my hands. It can. There's a mute button on the top, but there's also this that comes out relatively easily because somebody's put their hands all over it because they like to sit in my chair and. Angel. What's the emergency? You want to come up? You want your microphone? I don't know what you want, Angel. How? You want to help? Well, I don't. There's certain phrases that she uses that I don't know what she's talking about. Oh, I could give you an international hand signal. Y'all saw that, right? you guys saw that, right? She grabbed my phone and said, "Okay, mommy, bye." That was good. I think you're right. She quickly tapped it and muted. Probably. Either way. Idol taught me sign language so I can say bullshit, and that's enough. Yeah, I learned really little when I was little. I learned sign language from both my mom and my dad. So certain parts of it, like I still start to sign things, and sometimes it gets a little, I get animated with my hands because of the signing. So I only remember how to cuss in sign language. Well, no, that's an internet, like Spawn said, an international hand signal. So Anyway, and Phil, good to see you. Delay crew will catch up. Yeah, sign language is faster than spoken word, and because you don't speak in complete sentences. It's like Yoda talk. Anyway, super reader. There's certain things that I don't understand. Oh, when I get done here, Dad, you and I have to talk. Toyota messed something up, by the way. Wait, no sailor's mouth this morning? What's up with that? Because we're not in a sailor's mood today. And that was not really in a sailor's mood. That was just a specific topic that needed to be addressed. Yes. Okay, preface this with my parents divorced at a very young age. When I was a very young age. My mom was going to school to be an interpreter, and my dad was dating a woman who was deaf at the very same time. Yes, Angel, it's right there. Yes. Boom, boom. What do you need help with, baby? She now goes boom boom. Whenever she goes boom boom, she wants Netflix. Because what's the Netflix sound? Boom boom. So, but getting back to this, she brought up the fact that there is criminal jury instructions for 1512 and 1503. But she's not being charged with those two. She's being charged with 1071. The specific charges in count 1 and 2, and there's no reason to think that the rule for these closely related offenses would be or should be any different. The only, and this is where I have a problem, because it's like, this is where I have a problem, because it's one of those situations where it's like, if they wanted to charge you with those statutes, those are the statutes they would have charged you with. They didn't charge you with those statutes, and there's only stop locking my phone. There. Let's try. K-pop Demon Hunters. I have watched K-pop Demon Hunters and have sung those songs so many times. I think I am learning Korean. Now it's not whether she did wrong, but specifically what they're charging her with. That's the thing. It was like, well, the things you charged me with are closely related to these two other things that have jury instructions where you didn't specify enough. But they didn't charge you with those things, lady. Like, you'd have an argument if they had charged you with those two statutes, and they didn't. They didn't charge you with 1503 or 1512. They charged you with 1071 and 1505. I mean, I don't know how else to like. This is how to like bullshit your way around a situation. She's not locking my phone as like breaking it. She's just turning the screen off and like locking it, and she doesn't have the passcode to unlock it, so she keeps bringing it in here. Whereas like she can unlock her iPad. She has the code to it. She knows what it is, and she can unlock. It's a 6-digit code, and this girl can unlock it by herself. She does not need to she doesn't need to have me unlock it for her. Whereas my phone, I haven't told her what the code is, so she doesn't remember what the code is, so she can't unlock it. She keeps locking it and bring it to me to unlock. This is where it gets I just can't. So Judge Dugan moves to exclude all government evidence that she impeded or in any way hindered within the scope of counts 1 and 2 the efforts of federal agents to arrest EFR in a state courthouse's public hallway by engaging in 5 lawful acts that the indictment lists. As both the magistrate, judge, and this court now have held without government objection, the 5 acts alleged in count 2 we were all part of a judge's job. Each was an official act. In other words, docket 43 at 30, July 7th, and a docket 48, she had a legal right to engage in those acts. Unlike the police chief in Matthews, who for well over 2 months took repeated steps, including enlisting others, to conceal a gun from federal investigators to help his friend escape legitimate prosecution. In sharp contrast, each of the 5 acts listed in this indictment were ones that Judge Dugan had a legal right to undertake in the minutes after she learned that ICE agents were outside her courtroom. She was within the lawful powers of her job. I'm sorry, like, the more I read this, the more I'm like, either you and your lawyers are stupid or trying to tell the judge, the district court judge and the magistrate that they're stupid, or you're lying. And it's kind of one of those situations where it's like you don't really know which one's true. Or can two things be true at the same time? You're lying and you're stupid. We've seen that, right, Bruce? Hi, if you're listening. What legal right does she have to allow them to leave via non-normal route for the public, one that's restricted? That's my question. Thank you, Jeffrey, for always being able to form. Because sometimes when I read this, my brain has questions that I can't quite get into I just look at it and I go, what? And I can't form it exactly into the questions that I want. But Jeffrey, thank you for finishing my sentence. Hey, Sleepwatcher, how are you? Mm, Uh, this is not a new concept. It's like the public authority doctrine at bottom. As Justice Sotomayor has noted in dissent, someone like an ex-president may be able to rely on public authority exception from particular criminal laws. I like how they're all using this to hide behind shit. I'm sorry, there is a difference between presidential immunity and being able to unclassify documents as a president and hiding behind judicial immunity as a court judge in Milwaukee. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Like, there is a big power difference there and authority difference there. Just saying. Ah, I also believe she let illegal sit in the jury box. Well, I don't know if that's necessarily illegal because I've seen judges do that with criminals all the time. Like Sarah Boone sat in the jury box almost every time she was in court. So before her trial. So it's one of them. I believe that is the judge's jurisdiction. Probably under courtroom safety, likely like need to evacuate. Um, like there are some who would say, "I'm telling you how to run your stream by asking such questions," but it's what came to my mind. No, because I appreciate it because you don't tell me how to run my streams. You never do. All you do, and anybody who has ever had a problem with Jeffrey Montgomery, I need y'all to listen up. And this is just a PSA. When people in life give you information, never be mad at them for giving you information. What you choose to do with that information, if you're like, this isn't relevant to me right now, file it away. Keep it, say thanks, and move the hell on. Don't get upset with someone for saying, hey, I thought this was interesting and you might like to know. Or I have a discussion in the chat and I say, drop your comments and your thoughts in the chat and then get mad at someone for telling me their comments. The only time I get mad at someone in the chat is when they're blatantly disrespectful to me or they bring up my daughter for absolutely no fucking reason, like Philip Kraft, by the way. So, yeah, exactly. But people have and I'm not naming names because I'm not going to out anyone here. You know who you are if you're watching this stream. Um, you people know who you are. Don't be an ass. If you want to be an ass, do it somewhere else, not here. Because I will time your ass out because, yeah. You're welcome. But I've talked to Jeffrey off of YouTube long enough to know that he knows that sometimes I just don't respond because it's not important to me right then and there, or he'll tell me something and I'm like, sorry, Jeffrey, don't care right now. And you know what? He doesn't get offended. He just moves on with life because he's a grown ass man. He doesn't feel the need to tell any person who drops information that may not be important to him that they're a know-it-all. There's my rant for the day. I'm not gonna name names, but you know who the fuck you are. But if you keep doing it, I will out you. Getting back to this, I like how they all hide behind this case. Every person that I've seen, they will, like I said, Gail, I know shit. I know shit. I've seen shit. People have sent me shit. I have screenshots of various chats with context as to what's going on. And but I will not out people, but if people keep acting foolish, I'm not afraid, as we figured out yesterday. Grown ass man. Jeffrey tried apologizing to me for asking a question. So much shit. Yeah. So much shit. Send the towel. You'll need a bidet for this one. Or if I get diarrhea of the mouth, that'll be a stream everybody will want to tune into. I'm just saying. That one might go viral for more than one reason. You're laughing so hard, oh goodness, yesterday. I'm surprised I didn't get a shame text message from my parents because both of them were in the chat. So I'm surprised I didn't get a. No, if I get diarrhea of the mouth, y'all need to pull up a chair and take notes because it's gonna be fun. Probably won't because I don't like to unless I have to. But if I have to, I will. Yeah, we will have a members only this Friday, probably at like 5 or 6 at night. Talking going over some interesting Reddit threads like petty revenge and shit like that. Because if you think you're having a rough day or a rough life, if you go on and read some of these Am I the A-hole stories or some of these petty revenge stories, you will realize that your life really does not suck as much as you think it does. She thinks her position as a state law judge puts her above the federal laws. Yeah. And James, I don't know if you were here earlier in the stream, if you were lurking and just didn't get the chance to chat, but I had mentioned that she said all of these were in her scope, her legal scope as a judge. And it just makes me think of no matter what you think of this particular situation and whether those were actually in her scope, maybe the scope of a district court judge or a judge in general, no matter what bench they sit on, has gotten a little too big for its britches, so to speak. If I rant, the air turns blue. Oh no. My dog has a rough life. Oh yeah, all them pets, all them hugs, all that loving. Oh, I know. Such a rough life. Nardone v. US explaining that public officers may be impliedly excluded from statutory language embracing all persons. If reading the statute to include such officers would work obvious absurdity as, for example, the application of a speed law to a policeman pursuing a criminal or the driver of a fire engine responding to an alarm. But see, here's the thing with this. Like, technically, it's illegal for a police officer to speed if they don't have their lights on. So if you're ever, by the way, if you ever want to be the sovereign citizen type or call a cop out for something, if you are speeding and they are speeding right with you, and then they decide to pull you over, pot meet kettle. Just saying. Just a thought. Um, see memorandum from D. Barron, acting Assistant Attorney General, Office of Legal Counsel, to Eric Holder, Attorney General. Oh, applicability of federal criminal laws and the Constitution to contemplated lethal operations against. I'm not even gonna say Anwar al-Awlaki. Interpreting criminal statute prohibiting unlawful killings to incorporate the public authority justification, which can render lethal action carried out by government official lawful in some circumstances. Huh. Those examples are specifically addressed by state statute, so where's the logic in that statement? Sometimes I read documents and I'm look confused because I'm trying to find the sometimes you just look at a statement and you're like, that makes absolutely no fucking sense in regards to this situation. And sometimes you look at a statement and you're like, that makes no fucking sense at all. Just saying. Like, what happened? My dad said something. Please don't blame Squid's mouth. No, it's not my dad's fault because guess what? My dad does not curse. My dad doesn't speed. I speed and I curse. My mom doesn't speed. I speed. My mom doesn't curse. I curse. So I think it's the combination. Papa Squid DNA. I don't know. See, here's the thing, Gail. My dad is very stubborn, but firm. But firm in his beliefs. He changes his beliefs based on facts, but like facts first, emotion second. But if you argue with him, you better come with your fucking facts, otherwise he's gonna bury your ass like with facts. He's gonna pile facts on you so far that it's like the Acme hammer in Looney Tunes. That's gonna like pound your butt like the coyote into the ground with facts. My mom, on the other hand, super, super, super stubborn. Sometimes to a fault. And a little emotional sometimes. But stubborn. Put those two together into one person. Hello, it's me. I'm her. I'm the problem. You got stubborn and slightly emotional on one side, and you got don't come at me without facts. And if you come at me with fact or with an argument, you better have the facts and you better have the receipts. And I don't care about your damn emotions. Put into one person. That's me. You know. When the people you think are good to start naming names, you don't want to be one of those names. You know, the part about being an open book is I really ain't got shit to hide. Fletcher Boy, thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Late fee. How are you, Fletcher Boy? All right. It's all right. Papa Squid, we blame the Navy. Yeah, I was like that before the Navy. You know. That's why when I look at baby squid and I'm like, "Oh girl, where'd you get your attitude?" It's me. It's my fault. It's my fault. However, her dad is stubborn as hell. Her dad will piss you off. When he's like me. When he finds something that will get under your skin, he will do it just because he knows it pisses you off. Just saying. Please check DM. I don't have my phone, so I don't I don't have my phone, and I don't, you know, and show it if you like. Oh, okay, hold on. Let me see here, and then I'll get back to this document. Do 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 do. Let's see. Oh boy. Um, Close. You gotta change the you gotta change the name. You gotta change the name because the name is wrong. There's no Q in there. So there's no Q in it. But I like it. I'll show it in a little bit. Derailed by spawn. Yeah, it happens. All right. So these five official acts, the evidence the government seeks to offer is not relevant to any proper issue. Yeah. Federal Rules of Evidence 401, 402, and only could mislead the jury by inviting it to convict when Judge Dugan had a lawful right to act as she did. That serious risk of mischief and unfair prejudice would far outweigh any indirect, attenuated probative value the evidence might have. Yeah, this is reading more like a motion to dismiss than a motion in limine. Just alternatively, if the court allows the government to offer evidence of those five acts, the government may not argue or offer evidence contending that they were anything other than official acts. Under this less favored alternative, the government could contend that Judge Dugan did one or more corruptly for the purpose of count 2, but it cannot contest that they are in fact acts within the scope of practice of her authority as a Wisconsin judge. Law of this case establishes that clearly here, with nary an objection from the government. Judicial immunity bar renewed. Oh my god. Fucking hate. Oh my god. Oh. Mm. Yeah. Okay. So we've been derailed, but like staying on topic. We haven't completely gone off the rails. We've been staying things in relation to why we don't agree with this. Except for, a couple of things from my dad, but and me muting myself. That was a derailment, but what you gonna do? If the court grants the motion in limine set out in part 2, B here, the government will not necessarily face dismissal for want of any evidence. It is possible that it has evidence of other obstructive, hindering, or concealing acts that were not part of the judge's Dugan's job. It's basically saying they could have evidence that she screwed up. This to me is like, I don't know what it is, but this to me is like self-incrimination. It's like they could have evidence that I screwed up because I did, and I'm just trying to hide it. Yeah, she has the right to, she has the right to, she has the right to. Say it often enough and people start believing it. Yeah, that's the thing. The thing about facts is the truth is people have come to this thing where if you say it enough times that it's going to become the truth. And that's unfortunately for some people not exactly the way shit works. Just wait until the federal prosecutor argues she should not be allowed to make this argument because her authority is below that of federal agents. Ah. I just like, yeah, this right here is like, tell me you're not self-incriminating without telling me. I think it's Bruce Rivers, the criminal lawyer. If you've ever seen his channel, I love his channel because he is like, his merch is stop self-snitching. This sentence to me, if I were her lawyer, I would look at that and be like, why the f did you put that in there? You basically just incriminated me. Just to yes. Mainstream media, biggest propaganda, and not just mainstream media, but just social media in general, because this is why I come with receipts or just documents, because even in chats, shit gets misconstrued, and then all of a sudden people start taking that as fact. Like when Bruce got a gifted membership to my channel. And speaking of, thanks Harry for the 5 gifted Squid Pro Quo memberships. I appreciate you so much. When someone saw that he got a gift, we laughed at the fact that he got a gifted membership, because that means that he was a subscriber to my channel. Well, that got back to other creators that he was in my chat. And at that particular time, he did eventually show his fat little fingers. But that was not true. But it made its way back to others and they believed it was true. And it was like, that's not true. So chat, social media can be just as bad. And that's one of the reasons that I always read shit, because I don't yeah, people stir the pot way too much, way too much. All right, because when we are done with this document, I have a picture to show you guys. I think I found my new avatar. Not official acts, but unofficial. If it does, that evidence would remain admissible as to the conduct of elements of the 2 charges. Thanks for telling the judge what would remain admissible. I'm sorry. Like, thanks for telling the federal judge what would remain admissible in her courtroom. Like, how not to piss off a judge. Or how to piss off a judge in less than 10 seconds. Telling a judge what to do in her courtroom. Almost like how to piss off a YouTuber in 10 seconds or less. Telling them how to run their stream. And the government would be left to persuade a jury of the mental elements and the rest. Oh, there's some mental shit going on here. This is a good time to renew Judge Dugan's earlier motion to dismiss both counts as barred by judicial immunity. I hate that word. Then, as the magistrate judge found, a conclusion that this court adopted without any objection from the government, that only acts that the indictment pleads were part of a Wisconsin judge's job. They were official acts, violated no individual rights, and that the Reconstruction Amendment secure. In renewing her motion to dismiss, Judge Dugan relies on all of her previous briefs on that issue. Basically, hey, I know this is the motion in limine, but we're going to make sure that, we bring up the motion to dismiss. That was denied, by the way. Judge Dugan asked this court to grant this first motion in limine for the reasons she explains. The government cannot rely on Judge Dugan's own lawful conduct. But then, see, the thing about this is the government is arguing that it wasn't lawful conduct, you dumb cunt. Sorry. I know some of y'all hate that word, but like that. See you next Tuesday. Because as a matter of law, the acts that a defendant has a legal right to undertake do not hinder or obstruct under the 2 statutes that this indictment charges. Finally, the court should reconsider its August 26th decision and dismiss this indictment as barred by judicial immunity. You should have filed a motion for reconsideration. You should not. I hate when, I've read enough legal documents. Like I said, not a lawyer, never claimed to be. And I don't know how other people and how lawyers feel about this. But I do not like, and I would hate as a judge if I was reading a motion in limine and there was a motion to reconsider the motion to dismiss, all while arguing while your motion to dismiss was valid. This is not the time or the place. You want me to reconsider? File a motion for reconsideration. Don't try to combine 3 motions into one. I don't know about y'all, but like, that's don't try to do all this. This to me is like Congress writing a bill that has like 8 different things in it, or 10 different things, or 50 different things. It's No, one motion, one topic. One motion, one topic. Motion to dismiss. You write a motion to dismiss. Your motion to dismiss got denied by 2 different judges. You write a motion for reconsideration. Don't write a motion in limine and hide it as write it as a motion to dismiss and then a motion for reconsideration and hide it as a motion in limine. It's not how that shit's supposed to work. For one thing, this document was interesting, wasn't it? Like, doesn't it? It just it was one of those things of like, I hate when lawyers do this because as a layperson, it makes it fucking kind of confusing as hell to just for the layperson to read, which I'm assuming is kind of the point. Probably. However, it's also I know a judge is smarter than me, not denying that. But if it's confusing for one person to read, it's probably not probably. I have no idea. But I wouldn't doubt it. It's the same area. So this was just shown to me or sent to me. He got the bitch lines, the WTF lines. I call that my WTF line. Cuz every time that there's something going on where I'm like what the F? Yeah. How can Dean write this motion in good faith? Your guess is as good as mine, but I don't have a high bar for lawyers anymore. After James Owens, Gingras, John Vaginitis, whatever his name is out in Arizona, who did this? That would be Spawn Trooper. It was refreshing and something interesting to see. Kind of liking that. It got the hair right. It really did get that hair. I'm sorry, I didn't wash my hair this morning. I had errands to run. So, drive safe and wave as you drive by. So, Jeffrey, what'd you say? My dad said you were right. What would you write? They can't hide behind the bench anymore. Yeah. And that's why I was like, whatever you think of this particular case in general, and whatever you think of our immigration laws, take it up with your congressman. Stop trying to legislate from the bench. There's my first problem. My second problem is take yourself out of this personally and take all emotion out of this. If the facts of this case you can hide behind judicial immunity, the scope of judicial immunity is too large. Judicial immunity has a place. Daryl Brooks, Waukesha, lost that freaking case. Cannot sue Judge Darrow. Bless her heart. Got so much to say about that lady. Oy. You think I talk a lot. That woman. Judge Darrow, he cannot sue her because he lost his case. Jeremy cannot sue, or the fleas and whatever people, whoever those freaking people are. Sometimes, you care so little that you can't remember people's names. The guy who looks like Penguin. All of that. If they lose, they cannot sue the judge because they lost. Like, Jonathan, I completely agree with you, because God forbid congressmen actually have to do their freaking jobs, right? Like, how dare we expect they to do the jobs? Primary them. The problem with some of these congressmen is they get too comfortable because they have nobody to challenge them. And Ongung Arrow, thanks for the $2 super chat. Daryl doesn't have the grounds to sue. Well, that touche, but it was an example. And thanks for that. And I didn't say grounds. Jerry Nadler looks like the Penguin. Yeah, but I'm talking about the what the Hales, the what the Hales guy, the guy who's the rating service. I don't even know what his name is. Uh, I can't even think of Spawn's funny name for him. Um, so, but Jonathan, I completely understand where you're coming from with that, because how dare we expect people that we vote into office to work, to actually work? But there's a I think we've gotten too comfortable with not calling them every 5 minutes and bitching. I think we all should have their office phone numbers on speed dial, and every time that they do something that we don't like, you should call up their office and let them know, because that's the only way that they're gonna fucking learn. Yes, Congress is very performative. Yes, I agree. Yeah, and Jeffrey, I agree with you too, but I also disagree in this in the sense of I think there's something about when they get this is why we have to change people and change people often, because there's something about when they get to Washington that their head expands and their ego can no longer fit in a normal doorway. So, yeah. But anyway, getting to the next document. Yeah. To move this out of the way. I'm gonna move. Share screen. I still get frustrated with the fact that they I can't just put random I have these scenes now on the side, but I can't just upload 2 documents and have it you know. I want to know what's wrong with these judges that think they're above and beyond everyone else. It's that black robe tyrant that somebody in the chat said it earlier. It's yeah, this right here. Being a lifetime career politician was antithetical to most of the founding fathers. Washington couldn't wait to get back to farming and making whiskey. Yeah, which is why they never built term limits into the Constitution. They did it for the president because they didn't want a king, which is funny to me. The people protesting on No King's Day are moving to Europe and they're moving to the UK. No offense to my UK people here, but last time I checked, y'all have a king. So we have no kings protesters here that are literally moving to a country that has a king. Y'all can have fun with those people and good luck, but you can keep them. We don't want them back. Judges want the power of the executive branch. Yeah, and that's the thing. They're all trying to legislate from the bench. It's like, that's not your job. If you want that job, stop being a judge and run for office. As long as it's not anywhere near me. Wales is closed to visitors. All right, let's get into this one. Ungung Hero, thanks for the $5 super chat. You're corrupting me one super chat at a time. Did she subpoena the state of Wisconsin to or just Daryl? I just don't know what to say to that. Anyway, getting to this, because this is 6 pages and this is all we're gonna do today. Defendants, this is the rest of her motions in limine 2 through 13, but it's only 6 pages. She can separate I don't know. Whoever wrote this, I question everything. Y'all know I question everything. I'm pretty sure my parents regret teaching me the words why and technically are 2 words my parents probably wish were never in my vocabulary growing up. And now I'm like, why in the exact opposite? Why are people thinking like this? Defendant Judge Dugan moves in limine for orders consistent with the following request: to exclude all non-party witnesses from the courtroom following their introduction to the panel of potential jurors, and to order all non-party witnesses not to discuss their proposed or completed testimony with any other potential witness throughout the duration of the trial. Okay, I can see that. Judge Darrow also oversaw the eye drop murder trial. Good judge. She can see through the BS quickly. She can see through the BS quickly. However, she can't, like, I would have handled shit differently. But she was also, Fletcher Boy, that's my home state, and I was born in that county. So I was born in that county. I know a lot about Waukesha County, more than I care to admit. And she was running for state Supreme Court shortly after that trial. That I have so many thoughts on that, and I think if she would not have been running for state Supreme Court shortly after that trial, I don't remember the exact time frame, but it was like months. It was that next election cycle. She would not have handled that trial the way she did. So she might be a good judge, but she's performative. You know, yeah. After this live stream, go check out Squid's new video on her second channel. Yes, my second channel, the video dropped 9 minutes ago. So when we're done here, go check that out. I actually worked kind of hard on this. I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant because I followed that eye drop murder trial too. I don't disagree with number 2. And this is how I can call it like I see it. I do not like this judge. This judge I think is an awful person just in general. But to be fair, I also call it like I see it. Just because I don't like somebody or just because I don't agree with the facts and I don't think the facts are on their side doesn't mean that they don't have points. This one I can totally see. To provide the jury instructions to the jury panel in written form, including the instructions on the presumption of innocence and the governor's burden of proof. The government's burden of proof. And see, this to me, I don't know because the state or the U.S. moved to get rid of the words burden or the explanation of the definition of beyond a reasonable doubt. Oh, thank you. Here you go. So, are you gonna have a Christmas list for the Squidlet? I'll probably put some things on the Amazon list for her because that's the same Amazon list that I give my family when they say, "Hey, what do you want for Christmas?" or "Hey, what do you want for this holiday or your birthday or whatever." That's the same list that I provide to my family. So I update it frequently just because that's the same list that I give them. So the people that call me a grifter, it's technically it's my channel's gift list, but at the same time, it's really not. you know? To prohibit the government from introducing any character evidence, including other crimes, wrongs, or acts from witnesses that have not been deemed previously by the court to pertain to an admissible purpose. Okay. I don't know how I feel about that one. That one I would have to look up the rules of evidence in that case to have an opinion on. To prohibit the government from arguing or eliciting testimony that Judge Dugan violated Chapter 950 of Wisconsin statutes or Article 1, Section 9 of the Wisconsin Constitution. Such opinions are not relevant but are substantially prejudicial. Article 1, Section 9 of Wisconsin Constitution. Let's see. Wisconsin Constitution. Article 1. Section 9. 9M. And this is just an AI summary based on um, so an AI summary just based on a Google search. So take it with a grain of salt. Um, addresses the rights of individuals regarding the use of public funds. Considers the following points. Prohibits the use of public funds for religious purposes. Ensures that public money not used to support private educational institutions. Affirms separation of church and state in financial matters. Protects taxpayers from funding religious activities or organizations. Encourages transparency in the allocation of public funds. Supports the principle of equal treatment in public funding decisions. Huh? Okay, I'm sorry, but how does that have anything to do with okay. And I'll have to go through and actually read the Wisconsin Constitution for myself. Malin, have a good night. I'm off to put my old head down. Thank you for today. Take care. Appreciate you. I'll have to go through and read Article 1, Section 9M on its own because the AI summary doesn't really make sense to me how eliciting testimony she violated Chapter 950 of Wisconsin statutes or Article 1. What is financial? What is is this another thing where she like is self-snitching? Such opinions are not relevant but are substantially prejudicial because nowhere in that indictment did I read anything about finances. Nothing that I remember. And usually if there was something with a judge and money and finances and transparency, that would be something that would stick in my mind. I don't remember that. Judge Dugan is charged with federal criminal offenses. She's not charged with violating provisions of Wisconsin law. Now I'm curious on what she did that she's saying that you can't bring any information. Are they trying to backdoor a First Amendment issue into the trial? Not that I know of. There's more of the separation of powers that the federal government doesn't have any authority in a state courthouse. The federal government has no standing or interest, allowing it to assert a state right here. Allowing such evidence and argument will create a mini trial on an irrelevant issue. The government recently produced reports of interviews of a courtroom bailiff and an assistant district attorney who expressed grievances about their time in Judge Dugan's courtroom. They complained that Judge Dugan often referred to complainants as alleged victims before conviction. They also complained that Judge Dugan once declined to allow a complainant to sit in the courtroom during testimony of other witnesses, even though Wisconsin law explicitly gave her discretion to do so. Indeed, the Milwaukee County District Attorney's Office sought a supervisory writ related to that sequestration order, which the Wisconsin Court of Appeals denied. Milwaukee County DA's office versus the Circuit Court for Milwaukee County. This is not the case to litigate the minutiae of Article 1, Section 9 of the Wisconsin Constitution, allowing the government to discuss the potential effects of Judge Dugan's alleged conduct on a collateral third party is not only substantially prejudicial, but would also confuse the issues and mislead the jury. Holy shit, I did not see that coming. But remember how we were talking about what else has she done? This calls into question, when you do something like this calls into question other things that you might have done. Well, the government didn't bring it up, she did. Holy shit. To prohibit the government from arguing or questioning any witnesses as to whether they personally believe Judge Dugan is guilty or that she committed the offenses she is charged with, U.S. v. Young, Federal Rules of Evidence 701 and 704, to prohibit the government from eliciting undisclosed expert testimony, Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure 16A, to prohibit the government from eliciting expert testimony or legal opinion from lay witnesses regarding administrative warrants, including their validity and who has authority to issue them, to prohibit the government from eliciting expert testimony from lay witnesses regarding Milwaukee County Circuit Court procedures, to allow Judge Dugan. Okay, I'll have to read this because I have a question about this. And my question, like, I'm not a lawyer, so these are just me, you know? Uh, hey, John, how are you? Minutia. Thank you. I've heard the word minutia before, but I've never actually seen it. So, minutia. Now I know how that's. Yeah. I have a hard time with English, let alone, you know. So, to prohibit the government from eliciting expert testimony from lay witnesses regarding Milwaukee County Circuit Court procedures, I'm going to have to read that Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure and Rules of Evidence because I could see that being fair if she wasn't a circuit court judge. But the circuit court procedures are kind of important. Minoche. That's Minocqua. I think it's French. I forgive you. I've had enough time with English. That remember, Jeffrey, my greatest fears in life: public speaking and reading out loud. Y'all, give me. We're from. That's Minnesota. Man, I can't even sound like a Minnesota person. Minnetonka is a place, but that's in Minnesota. Minooka? That's got to be Minnesota. Because there's Minocqua. But that's a QUA. This. I think. If you were writing something for public speaking, you wouldn't use words you don't know how to enunciate. Minooka is in Illinois. Okay. Oh, it's one of them states. It's one of them cold states. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Mequon, but there's also Minocqua. Minocqua. It's a. I know where Mequon is. Oh, all right. We're not getting into Midwest town names. However, to allow Judge Dugan to elicit statements made to the media and on social media by the Attorney General and the Director of the FBI about Judge Dugan's alleged actions on April 18th, such statements are admissible as statements made by a party opponent. Yeah, I don't know. That one I'm not sure because they're just figureheads to me. I'm not sure if they actually do any real work. I mean, it could be. This one's on the fence. And such statements are relevant at least because they show bias in the investigation and prosecution. Yeah, right. Proof of bias is quintessentially appropriate topic for cross-examination. I know how to say cross-examination too, but Jeffrey, that doesn't stop me from messing that one up either. U.S. v. Martin, 7th Circuit 2010, U.S. v. Abel, 1984. Bias is broadly admissible on issues of credibility. To require the government to produce the full transcripts of audio recordings and identify the portions of the audio recordings it intends to introduce at trial. The government has produced the full audio recordings, reference transcripts, and portions in discovery. Such production will avoid unfair surprise. See, and I'm under I'm sort of under the attitude sometimes that you should be surprised. Like, the government, here, Jeffrey. There you go, Jeffrey. To require the government to produce all full transcripts to avoid unfair surprise, the government should be required to produce those transcripts and enhanced versions of audio recordings. If you want the audio enhanced, you do that shit yourself. It ain't that freaking hard. And identify which portions it intends to play ahead of trial to prevent unfair surprise and prejudice. No. To the extent the recordings or transcripts include statements made by Judge Dugan, they must be disclosed and made available for inspection under Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure. No. They should also more generally be disclosed and made available for inspection. You have the full transcript. They gave it to you. Yeah, he's pronouncing the word I gave him. This word right here. Google it, Gail. It's a town. Yeah. Yep, I'll pass. I'll pass. Nope, I'll pass. I'm not even gonna try it. I think everybody who has a Netflix account, who has a Netflix account, knows how to pronounce Manitowoc. Uh, they should also more generally disclose and make for inspection under Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 16E because they are material to defense preparation and the government is intending to use them in its case in chief. They gave it to you. Finally, to the extent of the government is used in excerpts as summaries, they must be made available for examination and copying under Federal Rules of Evidence. To allow Judge Dugan to introduce the complete recordings or transcripts of audio recordings in response to the government introducing partial versions of recordings and transcripts. Context. Okay. Judge Dugan cannot yet determine how much of the recordings or transcripts in fairness ought to be considered at the same time as the partial versions until she knows which pieces the government intends to use and has access to the full versions. Judge Dugan requests that the court rule on these issues before trial. To require the government to produce the grand jury materials at least 2 weeks before the trial. This case is going to trial. The grand jury materials will be made public. This case concerns events that happened in a public building. Disclosure of the grand jury materials will preserve Judge Dugan's right to present a complete defense. California v. Trombetta, 1984. Modern discovery, together with pretrial procedures, makes a trial less a game of blind man's bluff. God, I hate lawyers. This is not supposed to be buff. It's blind man's bluff. You're not going to see a blind man's butt. Sorry, it's not happening. Sorry, y'all know. Like, I don't have to. I get on lawyers. Like, if you're going to be that smart, run that shit through Grammarly. Because or proofread, or just don't make fuck ups to begin with. Because, like, sometimes I wonder. We would see the blind man's butt, but the blind man wouldn't. How many times do you see your own butt? So, I mean, blind or not. Blind man won't see his own butt for that matter. How often do you see your own butt without a mirror? Just saying. Jeez. Oh, I love this chat. Y'all are hilarious. To require the government to produce grand jury materials at least 2 weeks. We got that. Modern discovery, together with pretrial procedures, makes a trial less a game of blind man's bluff and more a fair contest with the basic issues and facts disclosed to the fullest practicable extent. U.S. v. Procter & Gamble, 1958. Ooh, This one was written by Rick Rash. Yeah. Um, this one wasn't as bad as the last one, but Dean Strang, you really need to like figure out your shit because you you know, it's bad. You know, it is bad. It's really bad. Uh, I mean, that's really all I got for today because we aren't going to get into the next document because the next document is um let's see, the next document is the defendant's response to the government's motion in limine, and it is 14 pages. We ain't got time for that. We are hitting that 2 hour mark, and that's where I kind of like to stay before the brain starts to detach from reality. But we have the defendant's response, and then we have the U.S.'s response to her. So we got a couple more documents, and I have not checked the docket lately to or the last couple of days to see if there's anything new because we have to get through what we have to get through. There is new documents that I was sent last night in the Tyler Robinson case, which we still haven't done a dive on any of the documents from the very beginning. Uh, so we possibly might do that tomorrow. It all depends on what happens. There's so it's either Tyler Robinson tomorrow or Levy County drama. It's it's a day. And I am starting to work on a video for this channel on the Score Act. I wanted to do it last time, but I needed more time to or I wanted to do it a few weeks ago, but I needed to do more research because just some things weren't making sense to me that I wanted to look into. I think I have the answers. I don't know. I could still produce that video and still might be wrong and have to go back and change or make another video going to it. However, that is all I have for you guys as far as this topic today. I appreciate. Oh, I lost a subscriber during this stream. Oh, yay. Thanks for that. Appreciate you. Guess you didn't really want to be here anyway. I'm trying to make sure 2 people hit the dislike button. Thanks for that. I'm trying to see where we can redirect to. Customization. Redirect. So appreciate the 2 people that decided they wanted to hit the down button. Captain Kern is live. Dune Day, let's hit the beach. What? Y'all have a great day and go tell Captain Kern that I said hi. I will see you guys on the next one as soon as I make sure this saves. I tried to redirect the other day and it didn't save before I hit end stream. So, you know. Hey Heather, caught up on chat. You're also funny, Squid. Thanks for covering this. Been listening and trying to get 3D necessary stuff done. I appreciate that I could do that for you. I like covering these topics because this is where it's like I don't like the government. I don't like generally anything the government does. I think the government's corrupt. I think it's too big for its britches. Um and I think people need to be held accountable and no one is above the law. I don't give a damn who you are. So we have the Epstein situation coming up soon. Because Trump apparently is signing a bill that is releasing the Epstein files. And I heard certain people's names are in it that and we don't know how much it's going to be redacted and there's some fuckery afoot in that one. I'm convinced because there's I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're the most important person in the government, or they're a little peon that works for, the NSA or whatever, but it needs to be handled. Um, and it needs to be somebody on my Facebook, a friend of mine, from back home basically said, "I don't care who's on there. I don't care how big or small the names are. I don't care what the implications are. If you messed with a child, your name needs to be publicly named and shamed, and you need to be ostracized from normal society and put on a list. And everybody needs to see who you are." Because maybe if we start holding everybody accountable for their shitty behavior, whether it be just talking shit about somebody on the internet, um, or doing the worst things that we can all use our imaginations for, that will send us to Mo's stream and let her use Lord Chippy. I don't care who they are. But maybe if we all get named and shamed for the transgressions that we have done in life, maybe people will stop doing stupid shit. Maybe if there's some fucking accountability and you're going to be held accountable, maybe you just won't act like a fucking dumbass to begin with. Just my thought. You can feel free to disagree with me. That's okay. But that's just my personal opinion. I'm all for, and that's why I was like, I don't want to name, but if people push me to a limit, I will name and I will shame. Yes, Lord Chippy awaits. I need to get, somebody needs to ask Mo if we can borrow Lord Chippy for all the people that we're going to need. Yeah, people record themselves doing shit and put it on TikTok. Fuck. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Hey, Annie M. Yep. It's just like, and we got to stop glorifying. If someone does something stupid on the internet, stop glorifying the fact that, oh, it's funny, oh, it's cute. No, you did something stupid on the internet. How about you stop acting like a stupid moron? Grow the hell up. Wait, what? I was called a sex toy by 2 streamers today. What the hell? That's creepy. I don't know, that's creepy. To talk about anybody in okay, that's the thing. Like, no matter what, like, oh my goodness, to talk about anything related to this 3-letter word that's used in this comment right here on the internet about anybody in chat is just creepy. Like, it's just creepy to me. I don't know. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. We're just gonna stop that. When people do wrong, we need to stop putting their names out there. Let's boost the victims, not the wrongdoers. Yeah, the only thing that I disagree about that is we need to shame people. When we put their names out there, we don't need to like hold them up on a pedestal. We need to name and shame, as Mo puts it. I'm using Moisms. Somebody needs to write a book of Moisms and publish that shit. Mo needs to put it on our merch store. Like, somebody go tell Mo that that's a great idea. Was the Scarlet Letter right or wrong? I don't know. But I don't know context for the time period. I don't know, but for the 21st century, you need to be named and shamed. They don't see it as shame. They're letting people know how great they are. Yeah, that's a problem. That is a problem, though. You're right. All right. You guys have a great day. Go tell Captain Curtin that I said hi, and I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Hit that like button, share the stream. Maybe we'll recover the the subscribers that I lost from yesterday. You want that? And I'm gonna go peel an orange or a mandarin for the little. You want to say bye? And on that note, 1,